When I decided to do this series, I knew I was going to come across some movies that I wasn't going to like. Pretentious Oscar bait that fooled the powers that be into casting votes in its favor. Those are the movies that I'm dreading on down the long list. But I didn't expect to find anything outright bad, and I certainly wasn't expecting to find it this early on in the series. But here it is. The Broadway Melody, sometimes referred to as the Broadway Melody of 1929 due to 3 unnecessary sequels that were released on down the line. Oh, that's not a commentary on the ending of this movie. I'm trying to keep this pretty spoiler-free if at all possible. No, by all accounts, the sequels had very little to nothing at all to do with the original movie. That's not what we're here to talk about today, though. We're here to talk about the one, the only, the original Broadway Melody. The Technical. Do you remember the part in Singing in the Rain where they're running into difficulty wiring Lena Lamont for sound? The whole movie is like that. This was MGM's first full sound picture and it shows. Actors' audio levels rise and drop drastically.
Okay on those sets.
Yes, sir.
Remind me to see that rehearsal in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Make a note of that.
Yes, sir.
I'm having lunch at the Knickerbocker.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Zanfield.
Background noise drops in and out as the camera cuts back and forth. Principal actors are frequently drowned out by other less important events.
Hello, Jimmy. Say, listen, I've got the hottest in your life.
The problems don't stop there. The camera will frequently linger on actors for an extended period of time with no dialogue or specific intent. They just sit there and stare with a doofy smile until the movie lurches forward to the next plot point. I understand this is the early years of sound and there were going to be some rough patches, but so little actually goes right here. There are times where the action isn't even properly framed.
Mr. Zanfield, would you come backstage a moment? It's very important.
I can properly frame a shot, and I'm lucky to find out which end of the camera the lens is on. This may have worked better in 1929 when they were a bit more forgiving, but from where we stand nearly 90 years later, it's impossible to overlook the technical issues, which seem to do all they can to hobble the movie at every turn. A movie isn't made entirely on the technical end, though, so let's take a look at the writing. It sucks. Motivations, plot points, and characters are brought up with little to no proper introduction, only to be explained away with a line or two of dialogue completely off camera, or not at all. To be fair to the writing, the movie largely lacks any background music, which may have lent some direction to the audience's interpretation of the motives of the characters. As is, I was baffled by a few plot lines. For instance, the movie revolves around a sister act coming to New York to make it big. One sister, named Hank, has a fiancé in town named Eddie. The fiancé promptly falls head over heels in love with Hank's sister, Queenie. Every so often, when Hank leaves Eddie and Queenie alone, he'll make advances on her. I couldn't tell until well into the movie, as in 10 or 15 minutes from the end, whether these advances were welcome or not. Queenie never brings it up. Hank, who actually walks in on them kissing at one point, never mentions it. And Eddie never shows any subtle hints that he's interested outside of these scattered scenes. There's some conflict with Hank and Eddie, and a guy who seems to be pretty respectable through most of the movie, who wants to start a completely consensual relationship with Queenie. Despite being asked repeatedly what their beef with this guy is, neither Hank nor Eddie can offer up anything more than,
Well, I don't like it.
In terms of humor, well, see for yourself.
It's a gorgeous garment, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it gorgeous? In fact, it's the gorgeousest thing I've ever seen. You sweet little cutie.
Get it? He's gay. Ha.
Oh, Mr. Zanfield, pardon me. Will you take a look at the Mahoney sisters right now?
The Maloney sisters?
No, the Mahoney sisters.
Get it? He doesn't know their names. Oh. My side.
Say, listen, girls. You know, I know this town better than you do. And there are more sisters doing their acts over the lunch counters in New York than over the than in the theaters.
Get it? He stutters. Stop. I can't breathe. And so on. And so forth. One point in favor of the movie is the music. This was the first full-sound musical ever to be released, and it has some songs such as the title song and You Were Meant for Me, both of which would be reused in other musicals to much greater effect. Others, such as Wedding of the Painted Doll, have been rightly forgotten. The acting. It's terrible. From Hank...
Oh, now that we put this act over, I'm going to give Queenie a break.
To Queenie...
Oh, you two run along. I've got some things to do, and I'll join you later.
To Eddie...
Well, Hank, now that you're here, when are we going to get married?
To all...
Getting near you, Kearns.
The side...
I designed the costumes for the show, not the doors for the theater.
Characters.
You send her over and I'll talk to her.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
It is really, really bad. To discuss it any more would be giving any one of these people far, far too much attention. The Broadway melody has aged about as well as a tangerine. There's some historical significance in it being the first full-sound musical, but its novelty has worn thin. I mean, if Academy Awards were handed out purely for impressive gimmicks, Boyhood would have run away with it this year. The musical numbers, which are at times not bad, and at worst are...
Early air, baby stare, all say that he's Kevin.
Yeah, do not stand the test of time. Every aspect of this movie feels ancient and, frankly, amateur. There isn't one performance that ranks higher than a third-grade school play, and any attempts at clever writing come across as something a junior high student, and one who isn't terribly clever at that, would write. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. From the shot composition, to the pacing, down to even the script writing and the acting, Tommy Wiseau's timeless blunder, The Room, is a better movie than this.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah, you can say that again.
I wish I was kidding. Well, getting there at least.